What's going on, YouTube? I'm here today to hopefully show you what the actual best pickaxe is in Lynn's Island. And by best, I mean getting the most amount of resources as efficiently as possible. We're going to take a look at each pickaxe, starting with the iron pickaxe and ending with the expensive refined pickaxe. But before we get into that, as always, do not forget to like and subscribe as it supports my channel, and you certainly don't want to miss out on any of this great content. Now, getting into things, we're going to be comparing the time it takes to harvest an entire stone node and the percent chance to get resources with critical strikes, which will all affect how much stone we get in the end. The important things to note on doing my test is, number one, my first initial strike is a regular non-crit, but the rest are all crits. You could potentially gain more resources by missing your first strike on purpose and then hitting all crits in the end, but I just personally don't find it as efficient as just going straight in there and hitting normal and then doing all crits, but up to you. Number two, to determine the amount of resources gained per crit hits on a node, I mined 10 nodes and divided the number of resources gained from crits by 10 to get the crit resources per node. If I missed a crit on a node, I did not count the entire node and just moved on. And finally, I used special attacks whenever they were ready for maximum damage. Now let's take a look at each pickaxe and their special attacks. So starting with the iron pickaxe, I'm kind of doing this more so as a formality just because it's probably going to be easily the worst one. It's got a very low speed, very low crit resource bonus at 10%. I probably should also note that there's no special attacks in the iron pickaxe. Moving on to the miner's pick, which for the most part, this will be the order that you more than likely unlock things. You could potentially switch some of these out, but for the most part, as you play through, this is going to be the relative order that you actually unlock things. So the next one is the miner's pickaxe, which is a slight improvement from the iron pickaxe, but more so probably the best thing is the speed is a little bit faster than the iron pickaxe, and it's got a crit resource bonus of 20%. It also has a special attack, the backhand strike, which does a little bit more damage, which is nice because it helps you knock down these nodes pretty quickly. On to the next one, we've got the golden mandrel, which is your first real big step up in terms of upgraded pickaxe. It's got better damage as well as more crit resource bonus at 50%. So in theory, every 2 crits you get 1 resource, which is definitely pretty clutch, especially early on. It does have a special attack, the overhead strike. Moving on to the next one, we've got the rock piercer, which I think is going to be a sneakily candidate for the best pickaxe just because of its crit resource bonus at 90%, which is the highest of all the pickaxes you can actually get in game right now. Strangely enough, the crit damage is lower than the golden mandrel, and once we get into the data, we'll hopefully find out, but you're hitting more crits and doing less damage. That means you're going to destroy the nodes slower. You're basically getting resources every single crit, which might be kind of a sneakily contender for the best pickaxe. The next one is the forged pickaxe. This one's probably, I think most people would argue, is the best pickaxe in game just because of the high damage, high crit damage, average speed, and still has a pretty high crit bonus of 80%. This one actually has 2 special attacks, the back strike and the overhead strike. You can go through these nodes pretty quickly. I think it takes maybe like 3 or 4 hits and you've destroyed it. So I think this is also, I think it's going to be kind of between the forged pickaxe and the rock piercer in my personal opinion, before getting into the actual data itself. And then finally the refined pick, which is kind of like a worse version of the forged pickaxe. It does less damage overall, less crit damage, same average speed, and a slightly lower crit resource bonus at 75%. This one also has 2 special attacks, the backhand strike as well as the smashing strike. I think we're going to see a pretty fair competition between at least 4, 5, and 6. I think it's going to be between these 3, excuse me. Getting to the actual data. So the number of stone that drops from each node ranges from 21 to 24, but for this video, we're just going to assume 24 stone just so we're all on the same page across the board. You can see that the iron pickaxe takes 13.5 seconds to destroy 1 node, which roughly equals 1.78 repeating stone per second. My crit resource gain was actually under 10% and was more so around 9%, so adding that into the crits included, you're actually at 1.84 repeating stone per second. Moving on to the miner's pick, which is a slight upgrade from the iron pickaxe. The miner's pickaxe significantly improves your harvest time and brings it down to 8.63 seconds, which is roughly 2.78 stone per second. On the miner's pickaxe though, I was coming up with exactly 20% for the crit resource gain, which brings that up to 2.92 stone per second, almost doubling your stone gathering from upgrading from the iron pickaxe to the miner's pickaxe. The golden mandrel is next, which is getting more into our top tier pickaxes. The golden mandrel brings a stone node down in 5.16 seconds, which is 4.65 stone per second. The crit resource gain was higher than 50%, coming in closer to 60%, so adding that to our number brings us to 5.12 stone per second. Another case of almost doubling our resource gain with the pickaxe tier upgrade. The rock piercer is a bit slower than the golden mandrel, taking 7.56 seconds, yielding roughly 3.17 stone per second. Like we talked about previously though, the rock piercer's strength comes in its crit resource gain, which adds an additional roughly 5.5 stone per node, bringing the grand total to 3.9 stone per second, which is a bit under where I'd hoped it would come in at. The forged pickaxe is an absolute beast of a pickaxe, but it's arguably the most difficult to get because you have to slay the mighty void boar to retrieve it. This guy can destroy a node in 4.33 seconds, which is roughly 5.54 stone per second. When adding the crit resource gain, that brings your total to 6.21 stone per second, which I think is going to take the cake for best pickaxe, but we still have one more pickaxe to look at. The refined pickaxe is very similar in terms to the golden mandrel, taking roughly 5.13 seconds to destroy a stone node, which is roughly 4.67 stone per second. The only thing that separates the refined pickaxe from the golden mandrel is the crit resource gain, which bumps the stone per second to 5.26, which is only slightly higher than the golden mandrel. The refined pick also takes a lot of coins to be able to get because you have to buy every single item from Jared the blacksmith before you can even get the chance to buy the refined pick. So there we have it. To really no surprise by anyone, the forged pickaxe is our overall best pickaxe. You may be thinking that we are only talking saving seconds per node, but if you're farming for materials to build a large base or to upgrade your farm, every second saved is compounded over a large period of time. With all that said, obviously the one thing we can account for is the travel time between each node because obviously there are rarely more than 2 nodes right next to each other. My final thoughts on pickaxe use is if you're doing mass farming for materials, the forged pickaxe is easily the best way to go, but if you're farming for more rare things such as iron nodes or the elusive lightstone, I would highly recommend using the rock piercer due to its high crit resource gain. I hope this video was helpful and you enjoyed it. If you have any comments or questions, please drop them in the comments section below. As always, see you next time, YouTube.